About 2 years ago, almost exactly to the date, November 2012, I had a manic episode that turned into a psychotic break, that turned into an assault on my roommate. And I ended up being sent to John George on my way to Santa Rita for a few months, followed by a long stay at the Newbridge Foundation.
My older sister's illness, I think, obviously affects me. Duh, that's like a given. I think the positive ways it affects me for sure are informing me about people who suffer with bipolar disorder, with schizophrenia, with depression. Like, those are so unknown and kind of like feared by society, like the knowledge of those struggles. I think it's hard because when something so large is happening in your life, but it's not like you're not going through it, it's just occurring to you, and it's information that your loved ones should know, like your friends. It's like very hard to bring up. It's like, oh yeah, we're at lunch, and like, oh, like BT dubs, like my older sister is bipolar. She's struggling a lot. I'm having a really rough time.
I feel like I did something really big. I accomplished something really, really hard that a lot of people just don't do. They drop out, they leave. So I feel really good about it, but I'm glad that it's done. It's challenging, but it's necessary.
You know, I feel very blessed. And even I feel that she is blessed that like in going through all of this and like the last all these years being so difficult, I do think that like my family is a really good support system, and we've always been there for her.
I think the single greatest challenge of being diagnosed with bipolar is acceptance of the diagnosis, accepting that your chemical makeup is different than others and that medicine is necessary. I didn't accept that until it was literally forced down my throat 2 years ago when I was institutionalized at John George. Like, I think that acceptance delayed and caused kind of hitting my bottom and this huge catastrophe that happened because I didn't want to take meds. I think that throughout my adolescence, it wasn't very good coping. I drank a lot, got high, partied, like did anything to get out of my body. I think today I cope by going to support groups. At Herrick Alta Bates, there's bipolar depression support groups. I cope by having acquaintances and friends that are also suffering from bipolar disorder. I cope by going to therapy, taking my medication, and working on that acceptance.
Good. My relationship with Kenya now is good. There are a lot of bridges to be rebuilt. But I think that the only thing that can solve that is time. And I don't, I think that we are good.
The world isn't very, knowledgeable about mental illness, so it's like you don't quite fit into the mold that everyone else is fitting into. But so getting to my goals that are school and healthy lifestyles, and it's just gonna be a little more work than maybe the average person. So I think it's gonna affect me in that way, but I don't think it's gonna deter me from accomplishing anything necessarily purely on being bipolar. It's more on how determined I am to work with being bipolar.